Hello everyone, welcome. I am Phreak and this is my second ever D&D campaign recap. This is going to be going over episode 4 of Ants from the Abyss, lacking a better name so far. When last we left our heroes, Shameless Steel, we had been following the ghost of our dead fourth party member. By we, it's Ashoc, who is me, Davos Hellsbane, a paladin. By me, I mean I'm a hunter, and Keanu leaves, who is a moon druid. And so we followed our ghost of our friend, of our party member, and we were led into basically a hole in the earth that we fell through out of nowhere, and suddenly, what the heck is even going on? We're here. And we land in this pit right here. Let me change my tool to this because why not? And we land right here in this dark cave. And our paladin wakes up first, shakes us all awake, and we go, well, where are we? How long was I out? I don't know. I just woke up myself. Okay. Where are we? What's going on? I don't know. We're in this cave, and our dead party member Jayke just kind of led us here. What's going on? And I say, okay, well, I look around, and so we're right here on this platform. There's a dark pit. It's only about 5-10 feet across, 5 feet at the narrowest, 10 feet at the widest. This is dark pit to the side of us, and these vines kind of growing to the right that we can't quite make out very well. We light a torch. Okay, we can see there's some vines kind of glowing out to the right, and we see these giant doors to our left. This is a larger gap than in real life. It's about 5 feet wide. You can kind of squeeze through it. Not terribly, you know, it's a narrow gap in there. They're giant, just like 10-foot, 15-foot tall stone doors that are just there. And I said, okay, well, I want to see, you know, are there inscriptions on them? You know, what's special about this? And I roll pretty well. And he goes, yeah, actually, you see, you can't really make out what the inscriptions are. You're not sure you can quite read the language, but you're kind of able to tell that based on what you're seeing here in the ornamentation, you're in some kind of sort of special tomb or burial site for something important, or maybe someone. But you're not really sure what. Roll history. I roll really badly. You definitely don't know what for. You don't know what this is in reference to, but you're certainly in a place of sort of contained power. We're like, okay, that's cool. And I read that to my party, of course. So the three of us go, okay, well, that's really interesting. So we have this chasm to the right, and we have, you know, who knows what to the left. We can squeeze through the doors to look, but we haven't yet. I want to take a quick second to mention that the DM is actually, I think, exceptionally good. He is very good at goading us into not outright killing ourselves by reminding us about things like resting, because, again, most of the party is pretty new or just barely returning to the game. Or just are in general kind of dumb. What he's also really good at is failing your dice rolls definitely matters. Screwing up definitely matters. You can absolutely kill yourself if you screw up way too badly. However, that applies to both sides. And we'll talk more about that later on, but stuff gets really hectic by the end. Okay, so we see these doors to our left. There's a chasm to our right that we don't initially measure, so we're not sure we can get over easily, so we kind of skip that. We say, okay, let's head through the doors to the left. And as the doors to the left open up, as I open in my pre-drawn map, we find a second set of doors right here. These are even less ajar. Don't mind what you see back here. This isn't relevant just yet. But we see a second set of doors as we traipse through. We screw through these doors, no problem. We find a second set of doors, and then we camp for the night because we realize pretty quickly we're all very injured. None of our casters have spell slots left. Our druid no longer has wild shape slots left. Like, I'm the only uninjured member of the party, and I have 13 max HP at level 3. I'm not very strong. Okay, let's take a long rest. Cool, undisturbed, no big deal. We fell into a cave. There's a cavern to our right, doors that are nearly closed to our left. Nothing's really getting in. It was a safe rest. So cool, and he goaded us into that because good DM. We say, okay, well, these doors weigh, I mean, tons. You could try to push, but it will definitely not matter. These doors will not open for you. They will not budge. They are, for lack of a better term, rock solid. However, there is a small gap. There's a small gap between them, just a very little bit. And our moon druid goes, okay, well, I can I can turn into a mouse, I can turn into a rat or something, I can squeeze through. And he goes, yeah, you definitely have space enough to squeeze through if you turn into a rat. And he goes, okay, well, since I can't talk to you, and even though I'm a ranger, I did not learn speak with animals, though I probably should at level 4, considering that it might help being able to talk to our bear slash rat slash whatever moon druid, but whatever, we're going to move on for that. He can turn into a rat. And he says, okay, well, I can't talk while I'm a rat, but I'll tell you what, I want to stay wild shape as long as I can. It lasts, I think, an hour or something like that. If we get done here, carry me across. I'll try to, mention to you what's going on. And okay, sure, great. I'll ready to carry you off to the right if we need to. I take aim with my bow, kind of through the arrow slit. We have our paladin hold the torch out so that we have good light kind of through as best he can. If it can fit a rat, you can fit part of a torch in your hand, right? So we all kind of pile in, and the rat breaches through, and he eventually tells us after he unwild shapes that he sees 5 figures frozen in space, and he tries to suss out whether they are truly sculptures or if they're like petrified humans. And he sees 4 human-sized little circles. Imagine that these 4 circles are the same size, though they're clearly not as I drew them. Various different kinds of weaponry, all melee though, but definitely different characters. And a giant, what looks like a wingless dragon, right? It's dragonoid, but there's no wings. It walks. And he also sees what are some ruined doors to the left-hand side, much like what these doors would have been, but they've cracked in and crumbled, and it feels like the cave system had kind of caved in before, and so these are just kind of in shambles and destroyed, but they're all facing this way. They're all facing the collapsed doorway to the left-hand side, to the west of the chasm, or the cave, I should say. So, okay, so he gets all that information, tries to roll insight, investigation. Hey, can I tell any of this? Nope, you have no idea if they're statues or if they're petrified people or who they are. Okay, he comes back. He's still a rat and says, let's go this way, let's go this way. So we once again squeeze through these doors, and we realize we don't need to do anything special. We can just take the jump and whoop, jump across this little chasm, and now we're over here. Okay, so we can no longer see the left-hand side. That's gone. We're right here. And we see sort of a 5x4, I realize I only drew 3 here, but deal with it, a 5x4 sort of grid of tiles. Cave's been disused for several years as far as we can tell. They're very dusty. There's, broken rock from the cave on, up top kind of crashing down. But we spend some time trying to brush off some of the dust. Touching it doesn't seem to do anything. There's no real issues there. There's no like traps that get sprung or anything. That's all fine. But there's some writing on each of these sort of tiles. Basically, there's writing on each of the tiles, and the tiles are all about 5 foot by 5 foot right there. They fit a person, and so we all try to take a look at the tiles. And I'm a wood elf, as is our druid, and we roll, as best we can an investigation. The DM goes, well, it looks kind of like elvish, but there's like a bunch of extra ornamentation in all the letters, and you really can't make out any of the words. It's incomprehensible gibberish, but it's in your native tongue. We go, okay, and we each relay this back. We say, sorry, Davos, you're human. I don't think you speak elvish, but you're welcome to try. And he investigates, and then he goes, well, yeah, it looks a little bit like common, but it's all really way too ornamented, and you really just can't make out what the words are. You don't know. But again, we can kind of walk on these steps, no problem. I want to quickly point out again, there's these green vines that are kind of leading through the tiles and out underneath these doors. There's more doors to our right. We see a set of 2 doors, and these ones are just flush. There is definitely no space, no light gets through, no air gets through, nothing. Say, okay, well, let's investigate the doors. What's going on with these? And even with low rolls, we can make out what's going on. And the door up here says power. There's murals on it. There's all kinds of caricatures drawn, and in poses like imagine you're in an Egyptian tomb or something, right? Just scenes of battle and whatnot. But you can definitely make out the word power written on this door. The right side door, again, more ornamentation and figures in battle, and it reads sacrifice. So our rat is still a rat, and he goes, okay, well, I guess I'll bite my hand and slam my hand against the door that says sacrifice. And he goes, okay, fair enough. You cut yourself. It's bleeding. Rats have 1 max HP, so when you're done with this, you transform back into moon druid form, and then he relays all his information. But the door, they don't open inward, outward like conventional doors. It's more like a DeLorean. They just falls down a little bit. The sacrifice door falls down. Just a little bit, though. Not enough that we can get through. It's certainly still a 10-foot tall door. The actual sort of framing of the door even covers more than just the slit. So even though the door is moved down, it's still flush with the clearing over the top of it. He goes, okay, well, fair enough. Our paladin comes by and says, okay, yeah, I will take one of my swords and I will just cut a giant gash into my shield hand. And seeing that the rat blood certainly helped, I will hold my hand up against the door and have it siphon blood from me. And he goes, okay, yep, fair enough. Hemming and hawing. You take about 6 damage worth of blood loss, and the door just comes crashing down with a giant thud, just sliding into the earth, and the door is gone. It's cleared. There's another door behind it. So, okay, well, what's that door read? That door reads courage. Okay, that's interesting. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's go back to this door that reads power. And I say, yeah, it reads power. So I'm going to take, I'm a ranger. I'll grab my short sword and I'm going to take a running leap at it and I'm going to attack it, right? I'm going to try to be powerful against the door. So I clang with my short sword. I roll to hit. I hit really well. And DM goes, it's entirely unimpressive. Your sword clatters back in your hand and nothing happens. And I go, well, I'm useless, guys. Sorry, I don't know what this courage thing is supposed to be, or bravery. I'm not sure which, but it's the same word, basically. Courage or bravery is now behind this door that clashes down, but this power door we can't touch. Our paladin goes, okay, well, I'm going to shield bash it and channel Divine Smite through the attack. He goes, okay, fair enough. Roll your 2d8 for Divine Smite. You deal some damage to this door, and it shudders down. There's not enough of a clearing behind it. Doesn't open up all the way. Druid goes, okay, I'll vine whip it. Okay, roll your d6. You vine whip it, and it's very strange. Like the vine kind of crashes in, and as soon as it crashes, it kind of like darkens and sort of dissipates right away, like it's getting absorbed, and the door comes down. It's now about halfway. Cool, I'll vine whip again. I'll vine up again. I'll vine up again. Chunk, chunk, chunk. Door comes crashing down. Okay. So, well, the power door is down, the sacrifice door is down, and now there's courage over here on the right-hand side, and once we've dealt with power, we've got brotherhood on the left. We've got brotherhood, and we've got courage. Okay. And we're like, guys, I think we got this. Let's all walk up and sort of, put our hands against the door. Let's, all three of us together, and we'll, on 3, it's like the Mighty Ninjas. I think just our Moon Druid with the -3 charisma modifier who just says dumb stuff all the time, and it's amazing. This character is my favorite of the campaign. So yeah, we're the Mighty Ninjas or something like that. The three ninjas, that's us. We're the 3 ninjas. With a name like Keanu Leaves, I mean. So Keanu Leaves go, the 3 ninjas, and we go, okay, cool, on 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 ninjas, right? And he goes, yeah, interestingly, as you do this, the door does, in fact, shift. And Keanu, who took the observant feat and has like an obscenely high passive perception, he goes, and you notice that ghost of Jayke, the 4th party member, appears next to you as you do this. And then, like in a flash, disappears again. And so we try to do that, and the door shifts a little bit. And again, not enough to clear the overhead. I boost up Keanu. He looks, and it's like, no, it's flush. You can't get through. This door is not opening. We go, okay, well, shoot. Let's try again, and let's include Jayke this time. The 4 ninjas. Nothing happens. The door is unimpressed. Okay, well, shoot. Well, that's not really working. Okay. Okay, what about courage? What can we do with this courage door? What can we do with this courage door? Paladin goes, okay, I'm just going to press my shield against it. A shield, demonstrates courage. Like, I'm going to stand up for my friends. Door is unimpressed. Doesn't matter. And I go, geez, and none of us can think about what to do. And so DM kind of lets time pass in-game, not in real life, and goes, as you're all spending time doing this, you feel like you see the door itself warp or twist or something, like it's a Twilight Zone episode kind of thing, just this quick, and then it's back to normal. And you're not even sure you saw it. And Keanu goes, run through it. Just run through the door. And just takes off running full kilt at the door. Hits the door, and he goes, make a wisdom save. Rolls terribly. Okay, you're terrified of the door, and you're running backwards right towards this chasm. And I go, I want to grab him. Roll an attack. Ooh, I whiff horribly. I don't even grab his ankles at all. All right, and Davos, our paladin, is out of reach. Can't do anything to stop him. And I don't have, yet the ability to do anything else about this at this time. Thankfully, he gets after he goes about 30, 40, he goes 35 feet, which is his movement. He said, okay, you can make a second wisdom save. This time makes the wisdom save, gets unterrified. I mean, right at the edge of this cliff, basically. And goes, well, that was bad. Yeah, no kidding. I had ensnaring strike, and I would have on my next turn tried to fasten him and keep us all safe. But that guy was about to run off the chasm and just kill himself, terrified of the door. He goes, okay, well, shoot, let's try that again. And this time, I'm like, okay, now that we know what this door does, let's brace each other, and we'll try one at a time. So our paladin goes next. I would have done it, but paladin walked in front. And we're bracing him, holding him from behind, and he walks into it, makes his wisdom save, no problem. We gave him basically DM gave us advantage for kind of bracing him. Walks through the door, no problem, with advantage. And much like last time, this dark spirit comes flying out from the door into his face, but shakes it off, no problem. Door falls to the ground. The one next to it falls as well, and now it's open. And now we can see into layer 3. The courage and brotherhood doors have all fallen. Now we have a straight shot through, and we make our way off to the right, and we notice that there's these 4 grooves just dug into the earth as this green vine continues on towards some focal point at the edge of the room. But there's 4 grooves leading into it. We discover as well as we're looking at this vine that it doesn't look fully plant-like. It more looks and feels and acts like it's a vein or artery of some kind. It's, right? It's not just carrying chlorophyll. Maybe it's carrying blood or something. It reminds you more of an animal than it does a vine. That's really interesting. Okay, cool. And so we walk up to we kind of just walk into the room. And again, Mr. Observant over here notices that the ghost of Jayke once again appears on the left-hand side. And appears on this step and begins sort of walking down this path. And we go, yeah, okay, sure. Going with it every time so far has worked out. So we all kind of hop on. We start walking forward. And as we do that, there's this bundle of something we can't really tell. The vines kind of covering everything entirely sort of ignites in this blue flame. And so this blue flame erupts around here as I grab my drawing tools, and this blue flame starts to erupt, and as it erupts, it starts going down the paths as well towards us as we're walking up. Just fire starts going through the trough, and every time the fire interacts with one of the vine's arteries, whatever you want to call it, it encompasses it and it blackens, and the vine sort of shrivels up and basically dies and gets charred and dies. Best term I can use for it. And so immediately Davos is really afraid. And we're like, no, I think we have to keep going. And we kind of see that our fourth party member, ghostly though he is, continues walking forward. And we're like, yeah, let's just keep making it happen. And we walk up, and we walk up, and we walk up, and we walk to the point where the fire is now underneath our feet. And it feels very hot, but we don't really do anything about it. And then it sort of snakes up around our legs and wraps around and kind of grabs us, but doesn't hurt. It's just warm, and then continues to pass harmlessly behind us. And we're like, okay, well, that was cool. And we come onto this this font at the very end. There's like sort of a brazier or something kind of holding, we can't quite tell what, but it's kind of on fire. And that's when we notice this thing, this shake weight looking object sort of appear in the sconce. It actually is, oddly enough, shaped very similarly to the actual dungeon itself. It's this sort of oblong, it's kind of like got like clasping bands on the outsides, like my fingers, right? Just kind of clasping to the end, but a fairly solid, metal iron something base in the middle. Again, it's shaped very much like this dungeon is. And I'm just the first to say anything. I'm like, okay, well, I reach forward with a finger and I touch it because it's just on fire. Like, do I feel anything? And if it's not like immediately like zapping me back, I'm gonna grab it. And it goes, cool. As you grab it, your eyes go white and you see a vision. Everyone else leave the room. We're gonna one-on-one this vision sequence. So okay, cool. So I grab this artifact. My character sees a vision. And he goes, all right, well, first thing you see, you're in a giant sort of bustling town hall. There's, 100 or so people all yelling. There's a cacophony going around here. You and your party are here. The four of you are, 3 of you? I think it was 4 of you. The 4 of you are here. and there's this gigantic 12-foot tall person next to you, talking about how, this is the time we're going to finish it. I forget the exact words. I wrote it down, but I don't want to pull up my story doc right now. Basically building people up for a big fight. We've got to end this now. It's time to destroy the invasion. Basically it's time to go. Let's rock. And this other figure shows up who's cloaked and hooded, and it seems like there's some sort of illusion magic actually masking the true identity of this person. You don't know what race they are, what gender they are, who they are, how they talk. It's all very garbled, like it's going through some kind of machine translation, like weird artifacting, and it comes out as just discernible speech kind of in your mind more than anything else. But this very weird cloaked figure talks about how this just keeps happening over and over. The fight sort of never ends. The invasion keeps happening, and it's tied to your blood. Like this sort of abyss is a part of you, and you can't be rid of it no more than you can be rid of yourself. I'm paraphrasing very heavily. These aren't really the words that are being used. I'm actually personally trying to decipher what this sort of riddled speech means, but clearly very heavy about how it's destiny. This is going to keep happening, and you just can't be rid of it. And so the giant goes, well, such is our fate, and that ends the scene. Fast forward or flashback or something to a different scene. And once again, there's a group of us. One thing I want to stop by and describe, by the way, is the murals on this second set of walls right here. The right-hand side had 5 figures, which, as we talked to our wild-shaped druid about after he turns back into a wood elf, it's 4 roughly humanoid figures and a giant wingless dragon, which is exactly what those figures over here in this part of this room looked like. There's these figures over here. And they were all kind of aiming towards a point, looking towards this middle here. There's this circle, very, very symbolic, some kind of focus of attention, though, in the middle between the 2 doors, as they're all looking at it, kind of vying towards it. On this other door is about a dozen not nearly as impressive looking figures. Some, look as common as just basic farm hands, but a dozen or so figures compared to the 5 here, but they look much less heroic, but very similar stances, sort of, again, looking towards this orb or sphere or circle or whatever it is in the middle. So that's what the relief is on that door. So in my dream sequence, I fast forward or flash back to a different scene, and it's again the 4 of us and the giant are here. During the previous dream sequence, by the way, we're all referenced by different names, much like how we had the dream sequence in session 2, where none of us were ourselves. I get called specifically by name of my character's grandfather, and I piece together, partially as a player, but partially my character will talk with the other ones immediately, that it's their ancestors as well. And so dream sequence 1, as part of this, or flashback number 1, after having the scepter, is we are all as our grandparents sort of having this vision, or at least I'm seeing that with all of our grandparents. And then we jump to a different scene, and it's the same giant, and I think the same characters, but I don't remember anymore. But we see these characters, and we're in this forge. There's an anvil, and clang, clang, like people are forging some artifact on this anvil. And the 4 of us huddled around, but it feels, I get this feeling that we are losing heavily. The darkness is caving in, that even though we've been fighting and fighting, just more and more, just getting tunnel visioned, and the world around me is getting colder, and there's just less heat in the world, and the rock below me is cold, and even though there's sort of fires and there's been magic and everything else, just the world is sort of closing in, getting dimmer and darker and darker. And they're clanging away, trying to forge something. And I noticed that we're in a very similar scenario where it's the 5 sort of heroic figures and lots of dead bodies around in this sort of chasm that we're in. And the only ones remaining are the 5 of us and these 12 sort of common-looking soldiers. And as soon as I notice them, the hammer is still clanging in the background. We see this, or I see this gigantic sort of ominous dark sphere kind of flood into vision. And sort of this abomination of, I'm not sure what, but as it moves across, it seems to absorb all the dead bodies around it, and all the scraps of flesh and everything else just kind of congeal in as it grows, and ends the dream sequence. And as I wake up from this, I'm now holding this this scepter or wand, whatever you want to call it, in my hand. And DM says, you have an immediate sort of knowledge of the basic levels of what this thing does. It's a magical item or weapon or something. You'd use it much like a wand. You know it's incredibly destructive, but you don't know how destructive, what it's going to do exactly. But unlike, say, a wand of magic missiles that you may have interacted with, there's no charges. It's just a ready-to-use wand of destruction of some kind. It's like, okay, well, shit, that's cool. And so I wake up, and I'm holding this thing, and the character's like, whoa, that was crazy, you're holding this. And I go, yeah, and I start describing the dream sequence. Like, hey, we were all there. There's a big hall. There was a shadowy figure. There was a giant. They were talking about how this fight was going to be, inevitable, and it was like part of our blood, and we could never be rid of it, and this is nuts. And we were all of our grandparents. We started talking about this, and they immediately, like the characters immediately recognized the names that I list out because we were all mentioned by name by one of the NPCs during this dream. So they immediately realized that, yep, we've all been hooked in as our grandparents as well. Okay, yep, this definitely happened before. Characters all recognize that, and as I try to get to the second part of the dream sequence where this weapon is being forged or whatever, I recognize that what they're forging on the anvil is in fact this shake weight that I'm holding. He goes, well, all the torch sconces down this hall have lit up. Suddenly, you can see clearly down this hallway, and not only that, you see this giant dragon as these doors have seemed to have opened. Right? There's a lot more space, a lot more light down this hallway. The dragon is here. He's right in front of the doors, in front of these tiles that you'd walked across earlier. And we go, okay, let's, the cavern starts kind of rumbling and shaking, and bits of rock are falling from the ceiling. And these doors that were before just open, you see start to slowly close in. They're, rumbling and just coming in from the outsides. These doors are closing in front of this network of tiles. We go, oh crap. And so we start booking it. We start running towards the dragon, which I guess I will once again draw here with my pencil tool. So, bam, big boy dragon. It's amazing. That's where we're at. I guess I will erase the other dragon from this guy. Oh, I should get a bigger. There we go. The dragon's not here anymore. He's moved on to the front. And so we start running. We book it over, and we get to these tiles over here. And we kind of immediately realize the tiles are different. Some of them are kind of glowing. And it's not as you remember at all. And these doors are closing. And he's like, okay, now roll initiative so we can start tracking things properly. As the doors are closing, the dragon's running forward, and you even start to see a few other figures as we... Let me get this. The other figures are kind of coming up as well, and they eventually make it up to this part of the chasm here. Cool. As we erase where they were before. So, okay, we've advanced, and now suddenly there's these... We've been made aware of them. These sort of stone humanoids and the stone dragon have come very close to us now. We're like, oh crap, what are we doing? What's going on? And so we run up, and we get our main characters up to this part right here. Up to the tiles. And the tiles don't look quite the same. They're kind of glowing. It's very weird. It's very strange. And we say, okay, let's spend some time. And we actually spend our first couple turns kind of investigating the tiles at large, seeing if we can figure anything out. And we realize actually that, we're able to kind of start reading them now. They make a lot more sense. And we start noting that, hey, this one right here actually has the name of the paladin's grandfather. And I investigate and I say, yeah, actually, this tile over here has the name of my grandfather. And this tile over here is kind of obscured by the vine, but has some kind of important name on it as well. But I can't make it out because, the charred vine is kind of in the way. So, I don't know what that is. So our moon druid goes, okay, I'm just going to run across. I'm just going to run right across and try to get out, right? And he goes, I think, kind of down the middle here. He actually doesn't go through any of these like named tiles because I didn't draw them properly to scale. And so he runs right through here and kind of gets this far. And the DM says, okay, make 4 dexterity saves. And it's like 21, 10, 21, 21. Like he beasts it on dex save. And he's a druid. He's not good at dex saves. So, okay, well, you were running. And as you passed by each row, and there's 4 rows here, I will draw the 4th row. As you run through each row here, a gout of flame from both walls just flies out, and you tumble past the first, and you get seared by the second, and you tumble past the third. And as you get to the fourth, the ground underneath you, the actual tile, just shoots up and slams you into the ceiling. You're trapped against the ceiling in this stone pillar. Rolls a bunch of damage dice, and actually the DM rolls very low, doesn't fudge his numbers, he swears by it. Druid is barely clinging on to consciousness, like 5 HP or something, of like a 28 max. He's down to like 5 or 3 or something. Just barely survives this. Thankfully, he actually rolled really well on his health rolls. I did not. I would have been one shot by this. It was okay. Our paladin goes next. He's like, okay, yeah, from here, I'm going to jump onto this tile with my grandfather's name on it. He goes, okay, make a dex save. I forget if he passed it or not, but gouts of flame come through this row as well, searing him, but he lands at this square, no problem. This square is safe. And I go, okay, well, we had the druid come down this side. The paladin went this way. I'm going to come in from this tile and snake over here. I'm going to kind of, because I know the gouts of flame are coming, I'm going to take like the dodge action to get advantage on my dex saves because I know the flame is coming, and I'm going to kind of walk to this one, then jump here, and then like jump to the next one. With the foliage on it that we can't quite read. He goes, okay, sure, fair enough. I still get flamed on this one. This is still a bad tile, but I cling on to life just barely. I jump to this one, and then I go, okay, well, I've got to get to this one with my ancestor's name on it. And in fact, there's a vine running through it, which seems to be a pretty through current of like this one's safe, and they have vines on them. And so I'm going to take a step to the right to get towards this one with my grandfather's name. And they're not adjacent in the real game, so I have to go over one. And the druid just went by a square that didn't work, so I find a square that like he didn't walk by and trigger a trap, and I'm going to walk by on a different square that I ostensibly could walk through. And he goes, all right, work a dex save. Wait, what? Yep, that one's bad too. Make the roll, take too much damage, knocked unconscious. Dragon lurches forward a bit closer. There's a bit more space here in the real game. The dragon lurches forward, and the doors start closing in. Druid goes, oh, crap, okay. I will, fair enough, I'm going to climb down. Like, he's stuck on, like, a pillar over here, and the one with my grandfather's name is right there. He climbs down onto that pillar. That pillar is totally safe. He's totally okay on that one. And goes, okay. Or it's either that one or it's one over here. Either way, he climbs down into a safe pillar that we've like identified as reasonable. Like he looks down and goes, "Yep, okay, I recognize that name. Cool." Climbs onto that pillar, casts the heal on me so that I can be revived from consciousness very quickly. Then goes, "Holy crap, that was nuts! What's going on here?" But he's on a sort of a safe thing. Paladin goes, "Okay, I once again want to investigate around me. Like we clearly don't have a safe path all the way out here. What's going on?" And goes, "Yeah, you actually have noticed now that there is." 4 of these tiles are basically glowing brighter than the others. It's these guys right here, basically. These 4 are glowing very brightly. These 4 tiles. And I'm like here, and the druid's like there, and the paladin's there, right? This tile is essentially safe, though, from what we can tell. Well, no, on fire, but okay. So, sure enough, he relays this information. Druid grabs me, hoists me onto his safe square. The paladin jumps back to this square over here. The druid then walks over at some point. I'm sitting on a safe square. I jump back to this one. The paladin was on just to kind of create some space. And as they glow brighter and brighter and brighter, there's like this flash of light. At this point, by the way, the doors have all the way closed, and we've taken so long that we have been trapped into this side of the chasm, or this side of the cave or whatever. But as we stand on all these squares, we stand on 3 of them. Once again, the ghost of Christmas past, or the ghost of Jayke, stands on the 4th one for us. And with all 4 kind of lit up, there's the flash of light. The doors open up, and once again, there is a waiting, sort of petrified or stone or something dragon chilling there. Davos gets me with the lay on hands, heals me to full HP, which is 13. And as we're sort of collecting our bearings and our teammates are pretty injured, DM goes, okay, once again, you once again see this dragon, and he's still barreling towards you. Like, does he look like he's angry? Does it look like he's going to attack us? Yes, definitely looks like he's going to attack you. Okay, F it. I grab this magic shake weight, and I just hope it shoots destructive magic at something. I aim at the dragon, and he goes, okay, here's 5 d12s, roll damage. And I get like a 36 or something for damage. It's a really, really high roll, and just goes right. There's your damage output. Cool. Now roll a d6 and a d10 in order. Okay. A 4 and a 6 are my rolls. Okay, cool. Ashoc, my character, you don't notice this, but the other 2 characters realize that your hair just like rips out of your head and falls to the floor. Which I'm like, hey, it's a little close to home, guys. Yeah, just the force of this energy sort of just pulls the hair out of my head. Also, I take like 7 damage or something, which is half my life, by the way. I immediately look pretty ghastly as a result, but I do a bunch of damage. I like break off one of these dragon's 4 legs. There's like a hole that's like sort of withering from the inside now. Excuse me, blasted into it. Before was like, okay, but this dragon is still coming at us. It is definitely not dead. And so we get in the battle formation. A couple of rounds of attacks come in. He breathes sort of stone breath attack at us. We all get advantage because he's kind of slow doing it from all the damage, which is kind of nice. So I'm thankfully not knocked unconscious. I totally could have been, but I'm down to like 4 HP or something at this point. Everyone else is pretty much okay. I mean, they took some damage, but they're tankier as members overall. The paladin only took 1 gout of fire. The druid's in a bad shape, but he had enough health coming into this for whatever reason, so he's fine. I think he healed himself in one of his turns or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but he was generally okay. Survives the breath attack. Only took like 6 or 7 damage. No big deal. We're kind of okay. Cool, next round comes around. All right, it's time for him to wild shape into a bear. He charges in, starts making these big mauling, slashing things. The paladin took his turn to investigate and say, yeah, basically he's going to take half damage from piercing and double damage from bludgeoning. It was essentially what it came down to, that clearly this thing made of stone, it's going to be good to bludgeon the guy. Now, I have a short sword and a longbow. I can only do piercing damage. Thankfully, a brown bear can deal slashing with his paws, but it's piercing with his bite. Our paladin has an improvised weapon with a shield. He can go for shield bashes plus divine smite. So they charge in to deal some damage. I'm like clinging on to life, sort of, but I've got this like death beam. A couple rounds pass. I do 1d12 of damage every time I shoot the death beam on my turn, but I take 3 damage as a result. I go down to 1 HP at a certain point, get healed back up by the paladin, back to like 6 or whatever. I managed to not get hit by breath weapons anymore, which is good, because now that the brown bear is in melee range, he's just swiping with his claws now. Managed to roll really badly on the attacks. That's all fine. And by the end of it all, we managed to knock down and destroy the dragon. Sick. We did it. The dragon's been blown up. He's gone. DM rolls a bunch of dice as these stone humanoids begin to approach the chasm and make the jump over. So he rolls a bunch of dice behind the screen, and he goes, all right, first one jumps over, and you just see him plummet and disappear into the darkness. Second one jumps over. You see him plummet and disappear into the darkness. Third one jumps over and makes the clearing. He's ready, kind of war axe or whatever at the ready to go. Fourth one jumps over and disappears into the darkness. DM failed the crap out of athletics rolls, which I mentioned at the very beginning of the story. The game is hard, but it's fair. 3 out of the 4 NPCs who are ostensibly going to fight us failed their athletics rolls because they're stone humans. They're not good at clearing jumps. 3 out of the 4 fail their jump into the bottomless pit. So we're like, Hell yeah. And like I really enjoy like appreciating moments as a player, so I'm like laughing about a lot of this. I'm like cheering on a lot of it. The other players seem to be pretty happy as well as we move on to fight the next guy. The DM takes another notice to say, hey, just want you guys to remember, a lot of us are new at the game. Remember that one of the actions you could take is pushing, right? You could basically sacrifice your attack to push. You can push forward or you can push down, like to prone them to get advantage or whatever. But you can, again, you can push. Now, these are pretty large, heavy creatures. It's going to be difficult for you guys, but like you can just make a strength check and you can push creatures. It's okay, fair enough. So our brown bear, our moon druid, says, okay, I'm going to charge one of them as, you know, again, so one of them got across the wall and the other one's all disappeared. I will, oh, whoops, I'm on the wrong layer. There we go. So there's one of them, the rest have disappeared. The dragon boy is dead. As I disappear some of the vines as well, but YOLO. Say, okay, there's one left. And so bear charges, and he crashes right into it. He wins his strength check, and just sends it plummeting down into the abyss. However, now that this is now going to represent the brown bear, now that you're there, you notice that they didn't all fall. You see two sets of hands at the edge of the cliff. Two of them managed to actually make their jump. They just didn't make it by much. And they're climbing back up now. And now there's two more NPCs who have made their way back in, and they are none too happy. So now our brown bear has two friends nearby, as I redraw our brown bear. And the DM takes a moment as like just a person goes, yeah, no, I rolled a 1 on his athletics checks. One of them just freaking just plummeted. I was like, that's fair. Says, okay, well, there's two more of these stone sort of humanoids ready to go. Bear, I'll give you an attack opportunity as he's kind of climbing up into your like periphery. Like at a certain point, he's not ready to defend himself. You can swipe for free, so knocks him with the paws. Okay, does some damage. That's cool. And he goes, okay, well, now they're going to attack you. And because they're just climbing up, we'll give him disadvantage because, you know, it's like sort of as part of his turn. He's like climbing up then attacking. So, you know, it's not the most coordinated of creatures. So this one up here has disadvantage and literally rolls double 1s. Double snake eyes, critical failed disadvantage attack. And he goes, yeah, you know what? He fails so badly, he tumbles backwards, falls to the abyss. He's dead. Like, yep, hard but fair. Absolutely. So this one is once again dead. And now we have only one left. We have this guy down here. Our paladin runs into melee range. I take a shot with my longbow, you know, loose an arrow, not sharpshooter, just throwing my shots. I've realized that channeling this sort of like energy cannon that's draining me of life. At a certain point, we had it outnumbered, so I'll put it back. The DM makes sure to note that this feels ice cold, like you grabbed it out of Mount Everest or something. It's just this, and it was just channeling like just fire and fury, this orange death beams coming out of it and siphoning my life force while doing so. I was like, yeah, it's cold to your touch. Still, even your body heat's not warming it up. So out that goes. Longbow comes out, take a couple of shots, you know, chip off some stone, but I'm not all that effective, of course, but shooting out arrows all the same. Our brown bear decides he wants to piss on him just for fun, does so successfully. Paladin, you know, smacks him with the shield. Chunk, chunk, chunk. Destruction happens. Cool. They manage to destroy the last thing, and bam, we have cleared the enemies. We have gotten rid of all these nerds, and they are all dead. We've gotten rid of all of them. We've cleared everything, and I have this weird death cannon. Okay, that's what happened there. Whew, what a fight it was. What a fight it was. And I try to relay the rest of the stuff for our players. At this point, we're pretty much overtime into our session, so it's time to wrap up. Says, okay, yep, after a bit of searching, you guys find the way out. There is actually a path sort of down here that you guys can actually make and climb out into the wilderness. As you climb out, you realize that, yep, you're back in the forest, it's daylight, and you have no idea where you are. And that's where we ended the session. That was session 4 of Ants from the Abyss. We did not fight ants, we fought stone automatons. And nearly died to traps. Not going to be able to do a recap of this for another 2 weeks, as I'm going to be going to the NA Spring Finals in Miami. Probably. No, I am. I guess I'm leaking that, but whatever. Going to Miami, so that's where I will be. And we'll pick this up again in 2 weeks. I may at some point, though, do the recap of my other sessions, of the other campaign that I'm in, which is also pretty interesting. I'll get to that at some point, but I wanted to do this one while it was still fresh in my mind. Thanks for watching, and please feel free to leave me comments and everything else. I'd love to do a better job of these. Let me know what you need from me, and I will do my best to match that. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.